Hello guys, welcome back. And today we're going to be talking about NHL jerseys and the jerseys that the players love the most. Now when it comes to NHL jerseys, really opinions, everybody has one. But when it comes to the players actually wearing them, which do they love the most? And out of the NHL players, out of the elite NHL players, what are their favorites? Now, NHL.com asked 61 elite NHL players what their favorite jersey was. Now, 2 of them didn't answer, but 59 players were answering what their favorite jersey of, and let's just say there were a variety of answers. Now, when it comes to the voting, there were a total of 8 teams that got no votes, so 8 teams that were not voted for. So for the teams that no players voted on, you have Ottawa starting out. Not really surprising, their look isn't the greatest. Then you got Columbus, then you got New Jersey, then you got New York, then you got Minnesota, you got Nashville, you got St. Louis, and then surprisingly, there was no votes for Vegas, which I was really surprised at. And yeah, no Vegas, which really does surprise me. You'd think a couple of players on Vegas would have voted for their own jersey, but Marc-Andre Fleury didn't vote for his own jersey. Having a couple other Vegas players didn't vote for their own jersey. So Vegas, surprisingly, even though they are a new team, didn't have any votes, which again, surprised me for how new and fresh that design looks. Now we're going to go for the teams that got 1 player vote, and then we're going to make our way up to 2 to 3, and then ultimately to the number 1 ranked jersey out of the NHL players. Now for the teams that got 1 vote, it goes as follows. The Winnipeg Jets get 1 vote, the Washington Capitals get 1 vote, the San Jose Sharks get 1 vote, the Pittsburgh Penguins get 1 vote, the Philadelphia Flyers get 1 vote, the Florida Panthers get 1 vote, the Edmonton Oilers get 1 vote, the Carolina Hurricanes get 1 vote, the Calgary Flames get 1 vote, and the last but not least, the Boston Bruins get 1 vote. Now, out of the teams that got 2 votes, you start with Tampa Bay with 2 votes, Los Angeles Kings with 2 votes, the Detroit Red Wings with 2 votes, the Dallas Stars with 2 votes, you got the Colorado Avalanche as well with 2 votes, and last but not least, you got as the Buffalo Sabres with 2 votes. Now, out of the teams that have 3 votes or higher, we have 7 teams left, which means that we're in the elite of elite according to the NHL players. Now, I'm going to be really honest. Some of these teams really surprised me. Now, there might be a couple of players that voted for their own teams, and that's why they're so high. But honestly, some of these teams just confuse me. Like, how do these players actually like these jerseys? Now, the biggest example of this is the first team with 3 votes, the Vancouver Canucks. Okay, NHL players, apparently you like that jersey. I'm not sure, but hey, they are allowed to like whatever they're allowed to like. Now again, this is voting for the Adidas jerseys, not the skate and rink jersey, not the stick in the rink or whatever it's called. None of those past Vancouver Canucks jerseys, the Adidas Vancouver Canucks jersey. I'm not really sure what goes through the players' minds in that instance, but hey, again, they're allowed to like whatever they like, but again, I'm just a little bit confused as to what their mindset is with that. And hey, maybe you like the Vancouver Canucks jersey, but I certainly do not. And that's what's kind of confusing me here, as Vancouver's home jersey is one of my least favorites in the league, and having it this high in the rankings when it comes to NHL players, again, just confuses the heck out of me. Now, the next team with 3 votes was the New York Rangers, and this kind of makes sense when you look at what the players were voting for. Again, we'll reveal the other players and the other jerseys in the rest of this video. But when it comes to New York Rangers, it kind of seemed like the players were leaning towards the classicness of some jerseys and leaning towards the classicness of logos and styles. And when it comes to New York, you really can't go more classic than the New York Rangers. The next team with 3 was the Montreal Canadiens. Of course, I'm wearing their jersey right now, even though this is not the Adidas one. The Montreal Canadiens also make sense. Again, as I said, players were leaning towards more classic designs, and let's be honest, Montreal is up there with New York for the most classic designs in the league, and you really can't beat what Montreal's been going for the past few years, and with the Adidas one, it's pretty much the exact same thing as this. For the next team, at number 3, you have the Arizona Coyotes. Now, I think NHL.com said that all the votes were for the Kachina jersey, so it makes sense there. I know a lot of people love the Kachina jersey, and it seems to be a fan favorite right now. So when it comes to NHL players, I'm not really surprised by that. When it comes to Arizona, I love their home jersey, I love their away one, and that Kachina jersey in the Adidas era is also very sweet. So I kind of see that, and I'm not really surprised when it comes to that many votes for Arizona. And it might surprise some other people, but when it comes to to Kachina or that home away, I think NHL players would be right to vote for that one. Now, for the last team that had 3 votes, you have the Anaheim Ducks. Now, NHL.com didn't specify if this was the home or away jersey or if it was the Mighty Ducks jersey. I'm going to assume that the players voted for the Mighty Ducks jersey because that one's a beautiful one. But if they voted as that home or away jersey as their favorite, they might want to get some help. But if they are voting for that Mighty Ducks jersey, good on you NHL players, because you did the right thing here. Now, there are 2 teams left that I haven't mentioned in this video, and if you've been paying attention, this might not come as a surprise. The 2 teams remaining are the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Chicago Blackhawks. I wonder who wins here. So revealing number 2 will also reveal number 1. So I'm just going to say who's number 1, and then we'll give the honorable mention to number 2. Now, the number 1 jersey when it came to the 59 players that voted was the Chicago Blackhawks, and they really blew everybody else out of the water. Now, the Toronto Maple Leafs got 5 votes, 2 more votes than the few teams that I mentioned with 3. But when it comes to the Chicago Blackhawks, they got 17 votes out of 59. They were smashing every other team in the voting department, and while I don't really think Chicago has the best jersey in the world, I can certainly see why players gravitate towards that, and they definitely said that the classicness was a big factor of that, and you gotta give them credit, of course, the Chicago Blackhawks, that is the classic look of the NHL. Now, these weren't just any scrubs that were voting for the Chicago Blackhawks jersey. You got Jonathan Toews, who of course is the captain of the Blackhawks. That is to be expected. But you also got guys like Evgeny Malkin, Connor McDavid, Taylor Hall. And they all gushed about that red jersey. I think Marc-Andre Fleury also voted for that. So you got some high-profile NHL players voting for that red jersey. And to be honest, I do agree with them in that respect. The classicness definitely pops out. That logo is also fantastic. And I think for Chicago, it was kind of the obvious choice here, because when it comes to NHL players, I think they would gravitate to something like that. And while I'm not really surprised that Chicago won the voting, I'm kind of surprised by how dominant it was. I mean, 17 to number 2, which was 5 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's just a crazy jump, and while I did expect Chicago to win this before I even saw the voting, Chicago just steamrolled more than I even thought they could. Now, another thing that was also surprising is that when the NHL.com article released, there were a lot of players that they had giving quotes on the jersey, and there was actually a lot of players that voted for different teams. As I said before, with the Blackhawks jersey, you had Connor McDavid, Taylor Hall, Evgeny Malkin voting for it. There were some great players that were voting for other teams' jerseys, which surprised me a lot too. And I was going into the article thinking that a lot of players would vote for their jerseys, a lot of players would vote for their own teams, but when it came down to it, a lot of star players actually voted for different jerseys, which I found super interesting and kind of surprising, because you'd think that they would be representing their team, unlike actually picking another jersey, which I'm kind of surprised about, but I actually like seeing that. It also shows that, hey, NHL players aren't really biased towards their team 100% of the time. When it comes to jerseys, it doesn't really matter too much what the player really thinks. They're going to wear it anyways, so it doesn't matter that much, but I love seeing that NHL players kind of break out of their shell a little bit, voting for jerseys, but not just voting for jerseys, voting for other teams' jerseys. Some people grew up in that area, some people grew up with these jerseys, and I like seeing that they vote for a team that they're not currently on. It was kind of surprising going to that article how different the players would vote for. But again, another thing that stuck out to me a little bit was, again, the players voting for those classic feels. When it came to the top jerseys, you have Chicago, who is classic, maybe the most classic jersey in the entire league. And you got Toronto, which they have that new logo, but it still is pretty much the same design that they've had almost forever. And then you got Anaheim, which if it's the Mighty Ducks, makes a lot of sense. A lot of those guys grew up in the 90s, so it also makes sense there. Then you got Arizona, which at the same time makes sense, the Kachina jersey. If it is the Kachina jersey that they voted for, then it makes a lot of sense, another 90s jersey. Then you have Montreal, which is Montreal, one of the more classic jerseys. Then you got New York, which is one of the most classic jerseys in the NHL. Vancouver surprised me a little bit, but it is still out there, so again, maybe some guys born in Vancouver, I'm not really sure. And when it comes to NHL jerseys, most of the time, the classic feel works, and we definitely saw this in the polls. While there were some teams that had some newer jerseys that were still voted for, we saw teams like Chicago really dominate because they had those classic jerseys. But of course, when it comes to this poll, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this poll in general? Are you surprised by Chicago winning? Are you surprised by some of the teams that had no votes? Overall, what do you think about this poll and of course the jerseys that the players voted for? Now, if you want some more Grav goodness, you can watch this video where I talk about my November 2019 NHL mock draft. But that's it for you guys. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you like and subscribe. Again, tell me below your thoughts on this entire poll and the Chicago Blackhawks winning the player poll. I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.